And then whenever you're ready, just notice what comes up for you, where if you've got sort of things going on in your mind that you want to just sort of file, and you can look at it tomorrow, because after all, okay, I apologize. There you go. That is my internet connection. Let me just see, did I lose everybody? Okay, cool. Okay, welcome back. And I am so sorry. Unfortunately, my computer obviously decided to take a rest when I was suggesting that we did. I'm on my phone internet now, so much for Irish internet in the countryside. But anyway, so just to kind of introduce myself and to let you know who I am, I suppose that's the sort of, because when you're looking at maybe doing teacher training, one of the things is to find someone that matches with you and that that resonates with you and with what you want to do and where you want to go. So I'm Laura. I'm a little bit over 30 years doing yoga, and I've been a full-time yoga teacher for a little bit over 10 years. And in terms of the type of yoga I do and where my lineage is I started in college. I had no idea what kind of yoga it was. And then after that, it was very physical. So I was very much involved in stronger yoga. I was in my 20s. When I trained initially as a yoga teacher, I worked in yoga therapy, and I did a lot of work working with people in rehab and public classes. I've also worked in gyms where you kind of get your fitness bunnies. And that was a really interesting combination where you've got really fast, kind of very physical side of it, and the complete opposite side, the therapy side, where people have very, very limited movement, maybe can't even get onto the floor. And then more recently, I sort of started studying with Donna Farry and Bonnie Bainbridge, and so somatics and sort of an embodied approach. So that's kind of the path of yoga. So a little bit, from the kind of Ashtanga, yin, through to somatic embodiment, so the whole spectrum. And where I sort of sit now is Hatha yoga, but very much about using the yoga to support you where you are, and depending on what kind of time it is in the day, what kind of what's going on in your life, setting it up so that the yoga supports you. And so that's in terms of what I would like to be teaching, is how to use yoga in these different ways. So you can set up a class to suit where you're at in your life, and to teach it from the place that you want to teach from, but that you're safe from an anatomy point of view, that you understand the benefits of it, but also the how to support people take care of themselves when they're doing the yoga. In terms of the philosophy side, the whole philosophy side, I don't know, maybe about 30 years ago, I used to teach personal development courses, training. And I was very interested in psychology. And I used to do things like, I'd say one of these lines that you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. So I had all of the lingo down, and then I was invited to do a workshop, and I went to the workshop thinking that I knew, because I teach this stuff, obviously I know it. And it was fascinating because I really got challenged at the workshop, and I realized how much thinking that I know something stops me from learning it. And that has really been a transformation. So for the next 30 years or so, I figured out I really haven't a clue, and there's so much that I don't know. So it's cool, because as I learn things, I have to reassess what I know and how it all hangs together. And so I've been looking at philosophy from, at that point, it was sort of a Western philosophy. I've looked at Eastern philosophy. The Toltecs have been a favorite of mine for a number of years. So that's the kind of Mexican side. I taught in a Steiner school for a while, so that's a German version. Fundamentally, it's all the same. It's just different models to look at the same thing. And so I bring a lot of that curiosity. How can you look at things differently, and how can that curiosity really impact you and your life? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want, isn't it? We really, for me, it's about living the best life that I can live and being the best, just being more in sync with myself as much as I can. And so a lot of the different philosophies have some really practical tools to support us do that. And obviously yoga, both from the physical side and the meditation side, is some of my favorite, has some of my favorite tools. In terms of the anatomy, again, because my initial training was in yoga therapy, that really interested me, and how anatomy applies to yoga and yoga applies to anatomy. And then more recently, I've found some fantastic teachers, Gil Headley, Lisa Peterson, the embodied movement, where we're looking at anatomy and questioning some of the old ideas that we had. So my original training in anatomy, while it's still, it's not that it's not true, but it's maybe there's a more powerful way of looking at how our body works. And there's so much research coming out now around the connections within our body. Even though the connections between me and my internet aren't great, the connections within our body, discoveries of where we've got a neural network in around our heart and around our gut, how that affects us. It's fascinating. I love the whole area, actually. So within that, again, how does that apply? How do we use it? So there's one thing, feeding our brain full of information, and then there's a whole other thing, how can we transfer that into our lives, and how can we make a difference in our lives with it? And I suppose that's kind of where I come from. I really love the fact that that it's so integrated, because we as human beings are integrated. You have something bad happens to you at work, and you kind of can hold tension in your body. You come home and you might be short with your wife or your kids or your husband or your kids, or you might take personally the fact that your neighbor has, I don't know, parked their car in a way that it's hard for you to get into your ride. So we as human beings are so integrated, mind, body, and spirit, that to have a practice and to have tools that also approach us from that perspective, I find really, really empowering. And it means that someday I can come in through the physical side of it. Some days I can come in through the intellectual side, the psychology and philosophy side of it. Or some days I can come in through the meditation or the breath side of it. And it means that the days that I'm going, Japers, could I be bothered really sitting? It means I can do a physical practice first, and then that will support me come to meditation. And so that's what I really love about yoga and meditation. It's why they are what call me so much. And what we're looking at doing is spreading it, spreading it and making it as accessible to people as possible, so that we can meet people where they're at, and that we can make this difference. We can support people make a difference for themselves in their life, because fundamentally we are all responsible for ourselves. So as teachers, what we can do is create a space where people can then step up and live their best lives. And for me, one of the best ways for us as a teacher to support somebody else live their best lives is for us to live our best lives. And that's really, I suppose, what's called me to teacher training, is because in teacher training, we can just dive so much deeper into the material than you can in an hour or a 90-minute class, or even in a 3-hour workshop. I'd be teaching a 3-hour workshop, and we'd want to do it for 6 hours. So taking an entire year for me is really a powerful way of doing it, because we are like just adding a little bit, adding a little bit, adding a little bit, layering it up, layering it up, layering it up over a year, so that you can create habits, that you can check what habits we have and play with them, question them, see where we get, and that we can learn skills that we can bring to others easily. The thing is, you know, they say about, I think it's Einstein that said, make everything simple, but not simpler than it is. So if we can find a way of languaging it, if we can find a medium, a way to bring this to others, we get to bring it to ourselves every time. Every time we teach a class, we get to remind ourselves as well. And so I suppose that's kind of where my passions come from, is trying to be able to hold the whole big picture and put it together in a way that's accessible. And a lot of the initial yoga teacher trainings might just work on that's what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there's a huge amount in this, and to have a little bit and have models that you can access it and then play in whatever area it is that you want to play in. And then so in terms of what then you can do with it, it's as wide and as varied as what it is, you know, because yoga in itself, how you define it and how you want to work with it, is so wide and varied. How you want to use it is huge. One of the ladies that is coming is a psychiatric nurse, and so straight away she has access to a whole group of people that can benefit from very, very simple work. We have a primary school teacher, again, directly applicable into their jobs. We've got a Reiki master who is going to integrate it into the services that she offers. So she's already offering Reiki. We have a meditation, a girl who is currently, they're working, a couple of people who are currently working in offices, and they want to transition out of that office environment. They want to make a life for themselves that is just more family friendly, and that where they can control their time, where they can be off with their kids in the summer, that they can manage their time in that way. I have another person who's, some people who are looking at, again, looking to work part-time and shift it up that way. We have somebody who works in event management. This is fantastic because she can bring that to, she has a huge number of skills that she can then bring to how she's going to teach, because she has yoga on the internet. Nowadays, it's very much the theme. And so even just in the group of people, just in this particular group of people, you can see such a variety of ways that you can use it, from being a full-time yoga teacher in a studio, which is what I'm doing, through to traveling. I have a young person actually who's doing the training, and she's doing it so that she can travel. That's what she wants to do, and she's looking to have a skill in her back pocket so she can travel. So how you want to use it, like I said, and can be everything. And not only that, it can change. So no more than our practice changes over time. And when I was 20, I was very physical, and now I'm at, it's a different practice that I have now. The exact same, how you use it, use your qualification can change over time. So in the beginning, it may be part-time. It may be a lunchtime class where you're working. It might be, and then building up to being able to go full-time, or it might be, and then who knows? The point is, there's so many possibilities. What I wanted to do was, one of somebody's been asking me a lot about how much experience that they need to have before they do the training. And that really comes down to yourself. So the more, what you bring to it is you. That's who you are, and what you bring to it is what you bring to it. So some people will have a variety of experience before they come, but just never mind the variety of experience of yoga. People have a variety of life experiences before they come. So any illnesses that you've had during your life, any challenges that you've had through your life, all of these things are really rich experience to bring you. You're coming as a whole being to to develop these particular set of skills that you can then enhance what offerings you make. So being able to do a headstand or a handstand, or being able to, you know, drop into cobra, well, not cobra, I was thinking more of crab, knowing all the Sanskrit names. You come from where you start. You know that old Irish expression, how'd you get to Jimmy's? And he goes, Jane, I don't think I'd start from here. Where you are today is where you are today, and it's from this place, and to really honor and honor all of the skills that you have already and all of the experiences that you have already. So for example, someone that might have a dicky shoulder, you have a lot more experience how to handle a dicky shoulder, a lot more experience of the limitations of a dicky shoulder. I have been mentoring teachers for a few years, and one of the people that I was mentoring was extremely flexible. She's really phenomenal body, and could move in many, many different poses very easily. And for her, the real difficulty was getting inside a body that is much more limited than she is, because she's always had this amazing range of movement and freedom of movement. So there's nothing that is better or worse. You come from where you are, and you what am I trying to say? Yeah, you come from where you are, you add to it. So the people who have had, 20 years teaching or yoga experience will have a certain set of experiences that they bring. The people who have just found yoga in the last couple of years and have fallen in love with it, they bring a different set of experiences. And we work from a foundation. It's a foundation. What we're looking to do here is to really build the foundations, because it's possible you could have been doing yoga for 20 years, but maybe be missing some of the foundation parts. And what I'm looking to do is to make sure you have all of the foundations from which you can go in any direction. What I might do is okay, so Sasha is just asking me about the time of the weeks. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If I'm going to just share, let me just share the my screen. I'll just choose that. Fantastic. So I'm just going to have a little look, and I'll go through the website, the page here, and I'll see if I can answer everybody's questions as I go. So I can't figure out how to scroll. Let me try it this way. Okay, so there's a picture of me in case you didn't know what I look like. And this business of living your dream and sharing your passion, for me, that is absolutely what it's about. It's sharing ourselves, and looking to share our lives. Let me just okay. So let me just sort of scroll down and see, hopefully your answers. Okay. Excellent. So, sorry, I'm figuring out how to use my mouse on Zoom. Pretty sad. Cool. So our next training, the training is starting in the 16th of January. And that's just a little bit about this business about the science. So from my point of view, we have both art and science. There's absolutely a huge amount of science behind it, but how we deliver it, that's where our personalities come out, and where the art comes into the whole thing. I'll be coming very much from a yoga therapy and integrated anatomy perspective. And I think that's I think it's a very solid foundation from which to build in any different direction. The other thing that we will also definitely be looking at is the business side of training, the business side of it and the training. When I qualified, I was terrified to put my face out on anything or even put my phone number or name on the internet. So I will support you with that initial stage, and then I have loads of people I can refer you to a fantastic coach, Amy MacDonald, who is for the advanced stuff once you start making loads of money. One of the cool things about it is hanging out with like-minded people. And we are, one Saturday a month, we get to do exactly that. We get to really geek out and be in person with the other teachers, trainees, and we get to practice our practice actually teaching. We go through classes ourselves. You get to receive a yoga class in person, and you get to practice. And then you get to go for lunch, you know, and just chat to people about things that we like talking about and that bore everybody else. You don't have a yoga body? Well, you just look at me, you're grand. The never thought before, again, we will take you through that step by step by step. You do not need to understand or know anything about teaching before you come. I've been a trainer for a long time, and we do done a lot of research in how best to teach, and you will get that experientially. It's not about the theory. We'll give you a little bit about the theory, but really you will get that, be really supported. In the beginning, you'll just one pose to one person. And by the end of the year, you will be able to teach a full group of people, full group of strangers. We will support you in developing that confidence and that skill. And we will do it little bit by little bit by little bit. That's one of the big advantages of taking a year to do this, is that you've got space and you've got time to play and to practice and to really develop the skills for yourselves. You'll also have sample classes. So for the first year of your teaching, you'll have sample classes that you can just use, rinse and repeat, and doing that for 3 times, for a block of 10 classes 3 times over the first year, will really give you that solid foundation. So you definitely don't need to worry about being able to teach. That we can handle. If you're not sure you want to teach, well, that's fine too. And like in the 7 habits of highly effective people, learning to teach something is a really useful way for us to learn, because if we are going to be able to teach, in order for us to be able to teach, we need to have dived a little bit deeper and figured out how you'd explain it. And it's a very useful tool to help our learning. So even if you don't actually use it directly teaching classes, public classes, that ability and breaking it down in that way is a really useful learning tool for ourselves. I'm too old, I'm too young. Well, you know, what can I say? I've already completed my 200 hour. I have a couple of people, actually 2 people that are already signed up that already have their 200 hour. You can never stop learning. And coming from, like I say, a different perspective, every trainer will have different things, from my teaching skills, anatomy, business skills, philosophy. You know, you'll always learn something new. And again, we've already talked about been doing it for too long or too short. Here's the thing. I was on this workshop I was talking about years ago. Often people would talk about how they couldn't do something because they didn't have enough money. And that was always a block for them. And then this lady stood up and she was explaining how it was really, really terrible, you know, that she had a really major problem in her life. And her major problem in her life, and it was real, like it was a very, very serious for her. And it was that she had too much money. Because she had too much money, she was unable to trust that people wanted to, you know, weren't just looking for her money. But it was fascinating, because I'd be in the too little money side, you know, historically, but just to see, we are exactly where we are. So we'll see, we have Sonia and Joanne. There are a couple of different people that are coming in. Sonia will be coming in. She used to run Yoga Essence, a yoga studio. And she will be doing meditation with us. And Joanne is a somatics teacher, and she will also be coming in. And between us as well, we'll be doing the tutoring. This woman here, Gwen, there's a few, actually in that video, there's about 3 different people. So if you want to watch the video afterwards, there's about 3 different people talking about how I teach, and it'll give you kind of a feel for how I teach. Why now? Wow, there is a question. Why now? Why are you here now? Why are you still listening to me now? What is stopping me jump now? From my perspective, I've been, many, many times thinking about doing something in the future. And fundamentally, I'm just older when I get around to doing it. So if you're still with me, if you're still here, then you know the answer to that, Later is just later. I'll come back to the payments plan in a second. So just a little bit about what is on the syllabus. So we obviously work with asanas, with how to break them down. So they're the physical poses, how to break them down and how to work with them safely. How to adjust the poses to suit the person would be where I'm coming from. I know there are schools of yoga that would say the body will change to suit the pose. That is not me. I will say the poses are only a tool and they're to support the body do something. So what is it you're trying to support the body to do? And then how can you adjust? I apologize. I have had a problem with my internet all day. And I was asking my daughter and she said, no, Laura, Mom, it's just you. It's just you. We're all fine. So I'm afraid she's clearly wrong. Either that or I'm jinxed. So I apologize. I was getting very excited about the teacher training, the syllabus. Let me go back and be just as excited. Okay. So asana, I was just saying that in asana, in terms of the asana, what we do is we look at how to adjust the asana to suit the person. Pranayama, breath work, that breath it's central to everything. So we will look at some very fundamental breath tools and how they support you. Meditation, again, fundamental. And in these 3, we will be supporting you to develop your own daily practice. And Sonia will be working with us on meditation, and she's amazing. And we will look at very gently bringing in, if you don't already have a meditation practice, we'll be looking at very gently supporting you develop your own meditation practice. Nothing too severe. And that's pretty much the thing about the whole training is we want to do a little bit all the time. The anatomy, as from my point of view, we look at functional anatomy and we look at it from an integrated perspective. And that probably won't make any sense to you right now, but it'll be that's one of the foundations of the training, it'll become obvious when we're doing it, what I mean by that. And it's pretty much like, if you can imagine you're sitting here now and you want to lift your arm, rather than just looking at the biceps and triceps, say that will lift the arm, we will notice that as you do that, if you have your hand on your jumper lower down, you'll feel that your jumper is moved, that there's a slight movement the whole way down to your jumper. And actually that movement will run the whole way down to your feet. So we kind of look at it, while we do break it down, we also then look at it again as a whole package. So the integrated anatomy. The training is recognized by Yoga Alliance professionals. So it's an international qualification, which means you can get your insurance from this crowd, or there's a few different places you get your insurance from, but you can travel with it. It's recognized internationally. The business of yoga. Towards the second half, after the summer break, we look at supporting you with the whole business side, just the very fundamentals about how to recognize, how to price, how to get over yourself, basically, so that you can take a photograph of yourself. And if that has freaked you out already, I realize I probably shouldn't have said that, but don't worry. It's about being able to, if you choose to bring yourself to the public and to run public classes. Philosophy. I've talked a lot already about the background in philosophy, why we will be working with the Bhagavad Gita. It will be informed from a load of different perspectives. And again, this is real fun. I love philosophy. It's fantastic for having your coffee and just it's a really good lunchtime, course. And it's so thought-provoking. The teaching practice and the theory of teaching, I've already spoken about that. There will be a little bit the whole way through. So not a lot. You're never going to be thrown in the deep end, and you will gradually develop those skills as you need to. And then a family-friendly schedule. So I've been involved in education now for many years, and looking at the effectiveness of education is something, it's a little hobby horse of mine, because you can get a sheet at the end of a training course and you fill it in and everything is wonderful and everybody can get 5 the whole way across. They're called happiness sheets. They're really how much you liked the trainer. What I'm much more interested in is how effective was the training? How useful is it? How much did you retain? How were you able? Was it practical? Can you use it afterwards? So while I would absolutely want you to be happy, what we have done is we've structured the training to take a year, because I think this kind of level of education and of personal development takes time. And to do it in less than that is kind of you may become more of a box, sort of making sure you get through everything. This way you've got space to go through things at your pace, and you can go back and revisit things when you still have the support of the tutors and me. We do it a little bit all of the time. So once a month we meet in person, and that's where we'll do our teaching practice, where you will experience the classes, where we can watch and we can interact with each other and get feedback and have lunch. So that's a really, really important. That's once a month. But then every week, 2 things happen every week. The first thing is that you get a drop of a topic, which will be short. Sometimes it might be only a 10-minute podcast. Sometimes it might be an hour-long yoga class. Sometimes it might be in between. The first week of the month, it will be on anatomy. The second week, it'll be a class, a structured class, an actual hour-long class, which will be based on the anatomy from the first week. The third week, we move into pranayama and meditation, one or the other. And the fourth week will be philosophy, and then into business later on. And you get that like little drop that you can take at any stage. That'll be a recording that you work with during the week at your leisure. And then on the Thursday evening, we have our tutorial where we meet and we can look back and say, how did you get on with the material? What are the questions? And so that means then hopefully you can really make that solid, and then you can move forward. On the Saturday, the morning is kind of a revisit of the previous month. The afternoon is setting you up for the next month. So we're continuously reinforcing all of the information. And by doing a tiny little bit all of the time and having the support of those weekly calls, it will support you to integrate it into your life. I don't know about you, but certainly I have bought training on the internet and thought it was a great idea. And then when I eventually got around to, I'd start maybe the first bit, but then not get any further. Or I would be very enthusiastic. I've gone on trainings that are on once a month for a year, and I've been really enthusiastic, and I've done the weekend, and I've come back, and then Monday morning or Sunday night, I'm quickly trying to get lunches and uniforms or whatever was going on, and catching up on the missed weekend. So by Wednesday of that week, I'd completely forgotten what I was doing. And by the next month, I'm suddenly going, oh, shoot, I was going to read all this book. It was all very interesting, but I actually didn't do anything. So the intention here is that you get a tiny little bit, a little nugget every week, and support to stay with it. So it stays alive for you. And the intention there is, again, like I say, to make it very easy, to make it easy and accessible. And that you truly get to play and dive deep into the material, because it's just a little bit on an ongoing basis over a year. There's loads there that explains. I'm just going to zoop all past. That's pretty much saying what I've just said. The role of the mentors. There are mentors, so you can meet mentors, and depending on what it is that you want to do, you may pick one of the other mentors. There's Joanne and Sonia and myself. And the other thing actually that I forgot to mention is our weekend retreat. So we have a weekend retreat. At the moment, I have left that space completely blank in case there's bits that you want to refresh or go over, or in case any of our training days get moved onto Zoom and that we want to recap anything. So that space is there for us. However, should we have everything done and be totally up to date, then we just get to have a retreat and just, hang out and do yoga and meditate and chat about philosophy for an entire weekend. If anybody asks you, that is a very tough weekend where you have to do a lot of work. But that is built in May. So that will be fantastic. Why us? Well, as I explained, hopefully by now you feel like you know me, but I've over 30 years in practicing, actually doing the yoga and meditation. I'm over 10 years full-time employed in this. Before that, it was kind of part-time, and I've done teaching. I've been in training and development pretty much all my life. Originally in IT, but then in the Steiner School, complete opposite. And now, like I say, yoga and meditation. What I'm interested in doing is supporting you to be your best self, because you truly already are. So actually, it's supporting you recognize you already are your best self. And then encouraging you to tell other people, not to keep it a secret, so that we can share yoga and meditation with as many people, and just help people be happy, and not in pain. The number of people who live in physical pain, or mental pain or emotional pain. So for me, the more we can do yoga, the more we can share yoga, just the better for everybody. So are you ready? Well, if you're ready, it's very easy, because again, we're over a year. So over the year, you can subscribe, and so you can pay for it over the year. So 11 payments of €230 a month, which makes it much more accessible than the single sort of payment or having it paid up in front. So all that you need to do is to book, is to commit to yourself. The rest will happen. The rest will work itself out. But to really commit to yourself to make this investment in yourself, for yourself, knowing that as you do that for yourself, you automatically help support the people around you. You know, if you live with anybody, you'll know it's much easier to live with you when you're in a good humor, or if you do, you know, when you, the day after you've done your yoga class. So taking this year to really invest in yourself, in your own development, and in so then being able to take this and share it with the world. Like I say, monthly payments. We make it as easy as possible. And you can sign up now and start paying from January. So there you go. I think that is pretty much the training. I've already talked a little bit about the training of philosophy, the philosophy of origin. So in terms of, if this is sort of, if you would like to, you can just have a one-to-one call with me, so you can kind of talk to me a little bit more about your own situation, or if you have any kind of questions. I have a few questions that have come in that I'll check now in the email and see whether I've answered them all already. But you can just book a call. You can just book a call with me. And we can go through, have a chat about it, or go into more detail in whichever area sort of you're most interested in, or in how you can apply it, if that's something that's sort of interest to you. Cool. So if any of you have questions, you want to pop them in the chat. And other than that, I will just have a little peek at the email, and let me have a look. Okay, so Fiona was asking me about the payment plan. So I've kind of gone through the payment plan with you there. You can take it off screen share now. Minds think alike. So, so let me have a look. So yes, so here's a question. So somebody was asking me, let me have a look. Geraldine was asking me about the time that it will take each week. So each week, like I said, during the month, there are different tools. So the yoga class will be a full hour. The meditation practice might be 10 minutes. The chat on philosophy could be 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. The anatomy will be in little bits, and again, sort of small bites, again, less than an hour. And then we have the hour call where we do the tutorial, where we work with them. She has a second question for me. Oh, and sorry, let me also say, we'll be encouraging you to do a daily practice. So your own yoga, your own meditation practice. So that again may vary. It might be 10 minutes. You might want to do a little bit longer. You might have longer at the weekends. So that is very much for you. We also encourage you to journal. So that could be at the end of your practice. Again, that's up to you. It could be a couple of words. It could be the word that came to you through your practice, or you might want to spend again at the weekend. You might want to journal into some more of the philosophical questions. Fiona had a follow-up question about the assessments. So what's involved in the assessment? Brilliant question, because I didn't cover that. So in terms of the assessment, each of the anatomy sections will have little kind of assessment question and answer sort of sessions. The intention of that isn't so much that you pass and that you know how to spell femur. The intention is that you know what you know and that you can get support with what you don't know. And therefore they're at the end of each section. So if you just want to do monkey see, monkey do that, but what I'm hoping for is that you will notice that you didn't really understand that and get me to go back over it again. In terms of then that's the anatomy, because that is sort of fundamental, that is critical. In terms of the your personal journey, you will write about that, but that will come from your journals, and it's very much a personal statement of your journey. So it's not assessed in that way. It's more of a, again, it's about you for yourself growing. And then in terms of the teaching, each week each month you do there will be those little opportunities to practice, and then at the very end you will, in a group, run a sample class. But by then it will be easy. It's not going to be a difficult thing for you to do, because you will have built up to that. Yeah, so that they're the three different ways of which the assessment works. Okay, I had okay, Joanne has just asked me for lockdown. What is the story if we get locked down? Well, the dates are the dates. I have been involved in so many training courses this year where I did not know whether I was coming or going, or we were up or down or in or out. The dates are the dates. If for one of the Saturdays we're not able to travel, so that we can't leave our counties or we're locked down, we will simply move that day onto Zoom. We would have to be very, very unlucky first to be on Zoom for more than one day in the 12 months. But if we have the flexibility within that to rearrange slightly, and I can take some of the exercises. I can take some of the exercises that are not suited to Zoom out, and we can do them at the retreat or at the next time we meet. And we will put in the stuff that we have on Zoom. Now, I've been training on Zoom all year, and I ran a teacher training for primary school teachers. It was the first big thing we did, and we spent 5 days on Zoom. And I was very nervous because I hadn't spent that much time, and I was responsible for it. I was training. And actually, it worked really well. So there are certain things that work really, really well on Zoom. And at this stage, I know what they are. So the dates are the dates, and we have the flexibility to slightly alter the order that we cover material if that's necessary. But it means you can plan your lives and you know where you stand. So there you go. Let me have a look. Okay. Okay, Tanya saying thanks very much. And okay, Sophie is, I don't want to teach, I want to do it for myself, but I think I've already covered that. It's fantastic to do this for yourself. And if you ever meet another person, by just being who you are, you're inspiring them to be who they are, so you can't but teach. That's just the way it is. It doesn't have to be in a public class though. Cool. Okay, let me see. Have I any other questions? No. That is fantastic. Okay. Brilliant. Well, I really want to say thank you so much. Oh, good question. Thank you very much. That's an excellent question. Yes. Okay, so I've just been asked how many people. Are there going to be lots of people? Because I've just done a training where there was 38 people, and actually my friend has just done a training where there were 365 people on the training. So I do not work at that sort of level. I like small, intimate groups. Yeah, seriously, 360, Tom asked me. And the training was $7,000, over 5,000 and something euro. And there was, anyway. So yeah, no, I like in the studio here, it's sort of 12 people. We're looking at sort of 15, a nice small group where you get to know everybody and where you can spend time with people, and that we really work together. So yeah, that's the kind of numbers we're talking about. No 300s and no even 30s in this group. Cool. And with mentors as well. So we have the mentors and, you know, different trainers and support. You support. The point is to really be held and supported, so that when you start and towards the end of the teacher training, you can get student insurance, and I would be encouraging you to start actually teaching, so that you're doing that while you still got the support of the faculty to hold you, so you can come back and say, you know what, I had this woman and this happened and I didn't know what to do. So we can help, and that we can make it really practical, and that you are really held while you get yourself established, and that it's not, if you want to teach with it, that you really do practice and get started, because there's loads of support for you here. Cool. Brilliant. So have any other questions before I just go and finish a bottle of wine? No. Well, I would really like to thank you so much. I'd like to thank you all for staying so long. So that's a fantastic, and for giving me this opportunity to geek out about, actually, yeah, my daughter says I shouldn't use the word geek out. When I asked her how to spell it, that's when she said that's like not a good word to use. But anyway, thank you so much. And yeah, let me know. Let me know. Yeah. And thank you for bearing with me with my whole internet fiasco. But it'll be good. So Claire stroke Frank. Thanks so much, Laura. You are very welcome, Claire. That's great. Thanks, Amy. Or Laura, thank you, Amy. You are very welcome. Brilliant. Well, I will love you and leave you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, and I look forward to chatting to you all very soon. Bye.